What's up, guys? We'll be live in about 5 minutes. Minutes. Do you like that echo? I'm going to definitely disable that. Hey, are you ready for this? I'm ready. The one thing I will say is make sure if you want to see this show that you're here for the launch, because we have Nathan Napalm, who made a custom viewer warning. Viewer discretion.
Parental advisory?
Yeah, parental advisory, I guess you'd say is a good way to put it, yeah, the echo should be gone. I apologize. I had the video pulled up to make sure our live stream was good. For those of you that are here early, we are running ultra low latency, which means that when you chat, it should be pretty close to real time. I tested it with a Borderlands stream the other night, so it should be pretty good. If you are here early as well, if you're in the green room, know that we will pull you from the green room into live to give your point of view. So that's the whole point of the show. We'll go over that more when we go live. Yeah, I have 3 drinks. Is that going to be enough to get us through tonight?
I have 1.5. I'm hoping that's enough.
All right. So guys, again, about 3 minutes. We're going to go live right at 9 o'clock. Spread the love out. Get everybody in here. If you know some Pantheon fans, bring them in. On the screen right now with the standby logo, you will see how to join. We have our Discord is the way to get into the green room. So if you do want to talk, you want to get into that green room, we'll pull everybody that we can in. We're looking to go about an hour. If the green room is booming, we will probably go at least a few minutes extra. But it is going to be probably about an hour show. You can get to the Discord from typing in what you see on the screen right now. But I'll tell you what, the easiest way to do it is go ahead and go to Pantheon.plus, and you can just click the join Discord link at the top. So that's probably the easiest way. Be going live in about 2 minutes. Damn, hi, you see this green room? There's a lot of people who want to get their voices on.
It's not easy being green.
Super excited. We will do our best to get everybody on. We got a couple reactions. We got a couple...
We're going to have some fun.
We are going to have some fun tonight, yes. Yes, this will be fun. Again, right at 9 o'clock, we will see the viewer warning. Make sure you're here for that. Nathan Napalm made a special viewer warning for us, and it's pretty good. When I saw it, I laughed, so... The funny part of this is, I don't know if you guys have ever... So the whole concept of this show came from listening to sports radio because I'm a big sports radio fan. Like when I say a big sports radio fan, I'm a big sports radio fan. And the biggest thing that they always yell at callers for is turn down your sound, turn down your radio. So if we do pull you into live, don't be worried. Mute your YouTube video that you're watching because we will get that. We may get that mic pickup from you, so... But I fully expected that we'll have to say that probably 7,000 times as long as we keep this show going. So
we might actually yell at you anyway, just because.
All right, it's 9 o'clock, guys. So everybody, we're going to kick this show off. So here comes our viewer warning.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just...
Hello, everybody. This is Minus from Pantheon Plus, and tonight is the first edition of hopefully many to come of Pantheon PlusYou. So this whole show and everything that Pantheon Plus was originally created for was very simple. Community matters, right? When we left WoW, the biggest thing we saw was a game that's going to require community because it's hard, it's challenging. And we said, let's go, let's get out of WoW because WoW, community didn't matter at all. Is that fair to say?
It was dwindling. Let's put it that way.
It was dwindling, yes. So when we left WoW, we decided let's go do Pantheon. And to be honest with you, we never really planned a content creator side of this. We really planned a website, right? So
yeah,
this content creator side kind of came to be just because I enjoy the shit out of it. And dragging you on here and making you do all this, obviously, in the meantime. So first of all, welcome back. Anyone who's watched Pantheon Plus Combat. I think of Haya and I'm automatically
Canadian Combat all over again.
Canadian Combat League all over again. Haya, welcome back. Thank you for hosting our first show.
It's good to be here.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do two things and then we're going to get to you guys. So first and foremost, we are going to talk about how to join the show. That'll be really quick. And then we're going to lay out tonight's topic between myself and Haya. And then we're going to pull people into this chat. So first and foremost, let's talk about the show. So this show is built to bring you in as a community member and have you come onto the show, get your voice out there and make your point. And whether that point is something I agree with or Haya agrees with or isn't, or is just you wanting to get your voice out there, this is the show for you. You're going to be able to do that. Now to do that, you'll notice at the top of the stream here that if you go to www.pantheon.plus, and we don't have any ads on there, so I'm not pushing you to the website to get any money. There's no ads in this video. That's just the quickest way. There's a link at the top if you in the menu to click join Discord. So that'll put you into our Discord. And then we have at the very bottom of our chats and voice lists, you're going to see live. It's called -live green room. So there's a live channel that myself and Haya are in that only we can get into. And if you jump into the green room, you're essentially telling us that you want to come on the air. And we're going to pull you in to give your opinion on the topic tonight. Now, what's really important is if you look over here to the side, we have 2 meters. We have the minus meter, which I haven't decided. Should you be in the minus meter or should you be in the viewer meter? What do you think?
I think I'm an abstract entity and should just,
just ignore. Haya's opinion just doesn't matter. He's going to voice it, but it doesn't matter. So what you see here is these are going to adjust. If you look at the screen right now, I can actually adjust these meters up. So if the viewers think graphics are really important, I'll move them up. If it's really not, it's move them down. So essentially, we're going to try to take a pulse of the viewers tonight. And then what we're going to do aside from that is, can you guys convince me to move mine? So mine is right where it's at. Tonight's topic, Haya, is graphics. How important are graphics to Pantheon? And in any MMO. We can talk about any MMO. So, Haya, I told you ahead of time I was going to tell you to tell the story. We left Blade and Soul, and we downloaded, about 8 games?
Oh, yeah. 8 to 12, somewhere up there.
And we planned all these games we're going to play together because we became great friends and we wanted to play something, so we left Blade and Soul. And I said to you, hey, I want to play WoW. And what's the first thing you said about the graphics on WoW?
It looks like a kid's game.
He hated him. Guys, I can't tell you enough. I could not get him to try WoW at first. So we download all these games and I'm like, well, hey, you can play on my account. You don't have to pay for it. I had 2 accounts at the time. And we said, let's go ahead and let's get you trying WoW. Oh, yeah, did we play any of those other 8 games?
Not even one.
So fast forwarding, one of your things about WoW was that it was something that you thought was the graphics weren't great, but I know that specifically in Legion, you really turned your opinion around on that. So why was that?
It had its own aesthetic. It had its own thing going on. And it didn't need to be cutting edge, super turbo, 1080p. It just had to have its own stylization and its own thing happening. Yeah. And that made it work for me.
How many times did we walk around Legion together and be like, oh my God, look how beautiful this is? Or take a screenshot and you're like, oh, it's so great.
Yep. Or have officer meetings in abstract locations just because why not?
Yep. So it's style, right? So here's why this is topic number 1. One of the things we want to do on this show is put out some pretty, I don't want to say controversial because I think that's the wrong word for it, but I want to put topics out that are highly debatable. Does that make sense, Aya?
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to get people on with different opinions. We want to move that meter. We want people to be able to just basically, just be excited about it, right? So the reason we chose graphics tonight, and I'm going to be very clear, is I want to give a huge shout out to Bronson, who's in our green room. So hopefully you're going to hear from Bronson tonight. Bronson's an awesome guy. One of the first guys I talked to in the Pantheon MMO Discord. And I don't think we even got along at first, but now we get along pretty well. And the reason it is Bronson linked. Sorry, I've had a few drinks, and I have some backup drinks.
He can't words.
We're very good tonight. We're lit. So Bronson linked the video, and it's by a guy. I want to give this name out because this is super important to me. His name is Josh Strife Hayes. I don't want to steal any credit from him, but he made a video that talked about, he has actually a whole series of videos that talk about what's killing MMOs. So it's tons of different topics, but one of the ones he talks about is that realistic graphics are killing MMOs. And yeah, that's an important topic because the thing that we both enjoyed about WoW is that it had its own flavor. Would you agree with that?
That's a great way to put it. Its own flavor. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
When you played WoW, you knew you were playing WoW, right?
Yep.
And I think going back to Blade and Soul, a game we played a lot, if you played Blade and Soul, it felt the same as playing Black Desert. It felt the same as playing any of those Korean MMOs. They all have the same style. It's this anime style, right?
Yeah. Like they look great, but they're not completely the same looking, but very similar.
Exactly. So I think that if you guys haven't seen the video, if you're in our Discord, you can go up into the announcements channel and there's a link to that video. So I definitely recommend check that video out. I don't know Josh. He's a European actor, but I love the video. I tried to get him on for this, but we couldn't get it all coordinated. So the whole thing is that there's a big gap between realistic graphics and having an identity through your graphics, having a feeling of, I don't know how to put it, having a feeling of the world being unique. And I think the greatest series that I can kind of talk to outside of WoW is Final Fantasy, right? So Final Fantasy has been a game since the NES, and its world has been defined since the NES. So they've had 2 MMOs, and those MMOs, even though they're their own separate story, you have the same enemies, you have chocobos, you have these things that make the world alive. And I think that my personal opinion, and then we're going to get to you guys, but my personal opinion is that graphics aren't, the realism side isn't important. And I will be honest, Pantheon sort of looks like they're going towards that realism side, which I would wish they didn't. And maybe we'll see more style as we play the game. Obviously we're a little while out from that. Hiya, do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? What do you think? How important are graphics to you? Are they very important, not important, somewhere in the middle?
They're important to the point where I want a game to look good. It doesn't have to be cutting edge technology. I need a game to have, like, okay, I'm playing this game, XYZ game, whatever it is, and that's enough for me. We were talking earlier, and I brought up the Borderlands franchise. You're playing a Borderlands game. You know what to expect. You know what's there. It's that cell shading. It's not the fanciest tech in the world, but it's there. It's good. It fits the theme. Everything works out fine.
Yeah, and I think when you fall into a world, it's not just the lore; it's the look of everything that makes sense to you. So
yeah. Okay,
so if everybody looks to the side of the screen here, I don't know if you'll see my pointer or not, but I don't think you will. But basically, my meter is the graphics are important, slightly above, pretty about mid important. I think that animations are really important. That's a whole piece of it. I think animations are more important than the actual graphics. So my opinion is that I'm a little afraid that Pantheon's trying to be too realistic. And I hope that in their design, we can see something that looks different. I don't want to see another game that tries to be realistic that looks just like Pantheon. So would you agree with that, Haya? Or
yes.
Okay. So we're kind of in agreement there. That's where we're at. So right now, I don't have the viewer temperature gauge raised at all. So we're going to get to it. So I do want to get to some comments here. We have a lot of people weighing in the chat here. So I do apologize for missing out on some of that as we kind of laid out the topic. We're going to go into grabbing people into the chat. So there's probably a couple second delay right now. So don't be surprised if we pull you in and we introduce you.
And you have no idea what's going on because you're 3 seconds.
Right? So yeah, exactly. So just recently we said Let's see. Tom H, just give us a fucking release date already, even if it's a year away. I don't think they have a release date. I think that's the issue. Isaiah, Final Fantasy 14 is number one in terms of graphic and style. Yeah, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, 14 has pulled off all that. MMO Dose, Arcade. Wow, that's a game I haven't heard of in a while. And I played Arcade. Did you play that, Haya?
I think I downloaded it and putzed around a bit, but I never gave it any serious play.
I played it very hardcore, but it gets very PvP. You know how I feel about that. And that'll be a show. By the way,
Yep.
we will have a PvP show. If anyone hasn't watched our video on PvP, you should, because you need to prepare yourself for my opinion on that. We also have We Smoke Bitcoins. He says just buy Bitcoins. That's why he's here. He made his name and he's like, buy Bitcoins. PlugsYou. Graphics are important, but to what extent? That's totally subjective. Yep, it's going to be sort of people's opinions. So, Haya, the whole point of the show is to bring the community, and we've talked for 11 minutes to lay it out. Are you ready to bring
time flies when we talk. Wow.
Dude, I can talk. People who know me, I can talk. Let's go ahead, and we are going to bring some people in. And I know that one of our viewers is drinking a lot of alcohol. A lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring him in now before he can't even speak.
Is that it?
Yep, that's what we're going to do. So guys, this is a content creator. So any of the content creators in the Pantheon Plus community, we're going to give a little splash like this. So Chris Kane, we are going to bring you in. So get ready. You are officially live. What's up, Chris? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for pulling me in here. Oh, you just interrupted the most massive bass session ever.
Going crazy in the green room, is it?
Good timing. Holy moly.
I wonder how we can get, like, it's not really possible to have the live show going on and pull the green room feed, but maybe we have to get like a moderator to record the green room so we can.
You gotta set up a second PC to just record the green room going.
Yeah, right.
Surfer Dave, I think, is probably going on a huge rant right now. Or I think he's playing devil's advocate. I was just trying to instigate a whole bunch of bullshit going on in there. And holy crap, did it work. And everybody's in there talking about, oh, well, the linear time frame with the games, and most development companies can't, put out a game in that time frame. And I just brought up a whole examples, Defend the Night, Project Gorgon. It's just, yeah.
All right, Chris. All right, Chris.
All right.
So first of all, thank you for the green room look. And welcome to the show.
Welcome.
And if anyone hasn't got to talk to Chris, he does some live streams from time to time. Make sure you follow him. And I'm not trying to like pander to people. Make sure you follow him. Chris, and you will laugh about this, but Chris has taught me more about audio because I join his audio sessions and then I pretty much take them over with asking questions and annoy the shit out of him. So Chris, it's your turn now. You get to come on our show. So how important are graphics to you? Where do you stand on that?
Well, first of all, your audio quality is terrible, and I hate it. So let's talk about the graphic. Let's talk about graphics. How important are graphics? To me, graphics are as important as gameplay. I mean, we all sort of dance around graphics. They're just as important as having a good, solid gameplay. And I think I've used this example before with you or with someone else. Do the graphics on Pac-Man really matter? I mean, no. The gameplay is so solid. It's so straightforward. It's so solid.
That's such a beautiful point.
You can just go in and play Pac-Man and enjoy it for what it is. I mean, any of those old school games, it doesn't matter if there's a bow on Pac-Man or if he's anti-aliased or if there's anything going on with Pac-Man. Does it look better? Yeah, sure. Does it make the game more enjoyable? No, but
zero effect on gameplay.
I do want nice looking things when I try to get immersed. So that's my stance. Yes, graphics matter.
Where would you put it? So very important?
I would put it as important. On a scale of 1 to 5, I put it at a 3.5 to 4.
So I'm moving the meter up because of you. You're right where I am. Mid. They're important, but the animations are super important to me, and the graphics are probably animations, but it's gameplay.
That's a whole other show, man. Animations? All
right, Chris, any last parting words before we throw you back to the green?
Yes, I will say there's only one thing. I know Defend the Night is using the default run animations, but the run animations for their characters, you got to do better than that. The run animations are so hokey. It looks like they have
You're ripping
some
on
kind of-
Defend the Night right now?
everybody's ass. It's up their ass, and they're running with this giant wedgie. And I want better animations.
Guys, this is a live show.
on,
Chris, you get to
Scribble.
you get to be our first reaction. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Here comes the reaction.
Really?
All right, so Chris, thank you. Thank you for
Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right,
coming
no
on.
problem,
dude.
man.
You are my hero. You've taught me a ton, and you are now back to the green room. So Chris brought up a lot of good points there. He's going after Defend the Night. How much alcohol has he had?
Plenty.
All right, so Chris moved the meter. Chris is pretty much in agreement with us. He's right in that middle phase. So let's go ahead. Let's jump back into the green room. I'm going to pull Bronson in. He's the one who kind of started this. So Bronson, we're going to be pulling you up. And I say that before I pull you up because there's a bit of a couple second delay. So we're pulling Bronson up to the channel. Let's pull him up now.
Prep yourself. Welcome.
What is up, Bronson? How are you?
Hey, dude.
So first and foremost, man, I remember the first day joining the Pantheon MMO official Discord. I don't think we got along at first.
We didn't? I don't know. I never thought anybody was mad at me for anything.
I was never mad. I don't get
Were you mad at me?
I wasn't mad.
Oh, good.
So Bronson, first and foremost, thank you, number one, for linking this topic sort of in the Pantheon MMO Discord. You linked that original video. And again, guys, you can find it in our Discord. If you haven't joined it, you can go to pantheon.plus and click the link. You can see it. Instructions at the top. Bronson, you really agreed with that video. So you, more than anybody, know about that video. So what did that video mean to you in terms of graphics?
Well, to me, it meant more or less that it was like a style versus realism. It's always something that I've always fallen back on personally. So when I got that video, when I saw that video, I was more or less thinking along those lines of, it's sort of like you think, you look at a game, people buy with their eyes, and once they play the game, they get a taste for it, and whether or not the game appeals to them, it goes kind of transcends the visual aspect of it. So when you see something, it either attracts you or it doesn't. Some people kind of just, but for me, it just was more or less just that, I guess, just style versus realism. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you can only get to a certain level of realism before you're at your peak, depending on what the machines or cards are going to allow you to do. And here's my thing. When we overvalue graphics in the MMO genre, we're not playing Call of Duty, right?
Right.
No.
Like Call of Duty, we want, for those that are fans, we want those to look super real because they're part of a real history. But MMOs and D&D and fantasy, I don't know. Again,
It's
Bronson,
not based in reality, so it doesn't need to be super realistic.
Yeah, and when you get too worried about realism, I feel like you lose your style. And again, Bronson, you hit the nail on the head. I know I sort of said the same thing, but you're validating that 100%. That graphics, knowing you're playing a certain game because of its graphics. And you brought up Borderlands, which I'm a huge fan of, right? So let's be perfectly honest. We're probably going to be doing a lot of Borderlands 3 streaming on a complete side to this. I love Borderlands, but the simple fact is it looks like a comic book. It's never going to get better than that. The Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 are going to look the same on different tech, right? Because it has a style, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, oh man, what is it like? When you play a game like WoW, which everybody's very highly stylized, it started out stylized, very cartoon feel to it, and everybody sort of looks past that after either hated it. But you're talking about Borderlands. Borderlands is another one of those super, cel shaded style appearance, and that's another one of those things. You either love it or you hate it right away, and that's what's great about stylized versus realism. Realism, everybody sees on a day-to-day basis around them, and so they're always comparing it. When you look at realism, a realistic game, you're comparing it to the world, because then you're going, then you're scrutinizing it. You're saying, oh, that doesn't look as real as real.
Oh, that's such
But
a
when
good
you
point.
look at style, there is no there's nothing to compare it to because this is some visionary artist's idea. This is something that was concocted in his mind or her mind, and they're looking at it and going, wow, this really, I want to try this. And then everybody kind of comes along for the ride.
I think that's beautifully put. Like,
yeah, and and again, it comes down to the fact that we don't have wizards down the street. So
yeah, I'm never gonna see someone cast a fire spell in real life, so I have nothing to.
If you do,
impossibly high bars, and if I do, holy shit!
Run for your goddamn life.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to see one of those guys in the grocery store.
So Bronson, before I toss you back into the green room, I just want to say thank you. Your friendship and also your linking of that video really inspired me for being the first topic of this. So we also had an awesome talk the other night with Chris as well. So hopefully there's more of those. For anybody who is in the Pantheon Plus Discord right now, we are probably going to set a night where we just jump into a chat and we BS. And I'm telling you, it's a good time. It's not recorded. It's just a good time. So Bronson, thank you very much, sir.
You're absolutely welcome, bud. Thanks
for coming in.
Yeah.
All right, so tossing him back to the green room. So another person sort of in line. We're keeping that meter. We're going to keep that meter with us. I'm waiting for somebody. Who's the person in chat that says graphics are all that matters? We got to find that person.
Yeah, graphics are everything.
Graphics are, or just the graphics don't matter at all because I play EQ. So the next person we're going to bring in, we are going to throw a little splash in for. So this guy is super awesome. He's taught me a ton. This show wouldn't exist without this guy. So here we go. Here's a little splash for Surfer Dave. We're going to be pulling Surfer Dave in. So Surfer Dave, get ready. You are coming live.
Creation.
What's up, Surfer Dave?
Oh, hey.
We pulled you in. We pulled you in. So let's go ahead and go back to the live feed here. Surfer Dave, I've heard that you are causing quite a stir in the green room.
I apparently just said, all right, everyone, it's time for me to talk. I would try to talk, and be like, and then Chris Kane would be like, rah, and this person would be like, rah, and I'm like, and I was like, that's it. I'm saying my piece.
So the show within the show is joining the green room, from what I hear.
It's a good time. No, it's honestly, I will say this, coming now, leading the WoW Classic Guild that we got going on, which is a lot of Pantheon players, dealing with all those other discords of the WoW people. It's just, trust me, this is an enjoyable conversation. They're all good people.
So Surfer Dave, first and foremost, I do want to openly thank you. If you guys haven't seen Surfer Dave, Pantheon Plus is going to be doing a pretty big run of interviews very shortly about some of the streamers, future streamers of Pantheon. And Surfer Dave, you were on Interviews with Minus. I've been friends with you for a long time. This show doesn't exist without you. You taught me how to do transitions. Watching your show inspired me. So first and foremost, thank you for your help and your expertise. And thank you for coming on tonight.
Well, first off, thank you for, your dedication to Pantheon. I mean, this is a time where people are tending to somewhat turn on the game or turning on the devs, and you are going very strong with content. So thank you for making this happen and bringing the community together. I mean, I put a tweet out of us with our guild. We officially announced that we have 45 men for 40 raids in Classic WoW to get us by. Again, majority of the members there are from the Pantheon community. And I'd use your hashtag because community does matter. And we created a guild that's pretty anti-toxic.
Yeah, and me and Dave are both part of a guild called Rainborn. I'm going to give them a huge shout out right now. We're not currently recruiting, but at the same time, if it's something you're interested in, check out their website. Just
I am the recruiting officer. We are not recruiting, but always send me a DM. They're always open. Would love to talk to you guys.
Yep. So Surfer Dave, where are you at on the graphics pendulum right now? So right now it looks like, everyone that we've pulled on Chris, and the chat is sort of, we're going to read more of the chat, guys. I'm sorry we haven't kept up with that. But it's kind of in the middle, right? Like it's not super important, but it's not.
It's important up to a certain point, and then style would take over from there.
Yeah. So Surfer Dave, where are you at on the graphics debate?
Well, I mean, here it is. So I just played ESO not too long ago, right? We can all agree it's a beautiful looking game. And yeah. And I also, just 2 years ago, I hit almost 60 on Project 1999 EverQuest. Okay. No probably really outdated graphics now. I think we all can agree on as well. Having said that, I have to say it's kind of like a happy medium. Do the graphics get to you? If the gameplay is captivating you, the graphics really don't matter to a degree. I will say, like, my wife played Project 99 with us a little bit. loved the game. The graphics got to her. And that's why she just in the end stopped, because it was just that dated. And I got it because it can be a little clunky. So graphics are like, I'm kind of like in the middle. I don't want too dated graphics, but I'm okay if they're not looking like 4K ESO graphics. I'm very happy where Pantheon is right now with their graphics.
That's an awesome bring up. So, you know, and I think this is why this topic came to be. So Dave, your opinion on this would be huge. I think that we all understand that at one point there was a certain graphics that were set for Pantheon, and that's kind of where they were running with it. And then if I'm just, this is my opinion, tear me down for this in chat, or you can come on and voice and do the same. But there was a time when Joe Leonard, which was brought up in the chat earlier, pinged Asmongold, and those two went back and forth with each other. And Asmongold, who is a large streamer, huge in the WoW community, started to kind of trash the graphics. And all of a sudden, Pantheon, in my opinion, I could be wrong here, reacted to that. That's the way I saw it, that they reacted to that.
I watched the video. Listen, I'm a fan of Asmongold. I like him. I like him in the way he first off, it's a show, right? He's producing content at the end of the day. Yeah, he doesn't have nice transitions. At the end of the day, he's putting on a show. And I bet you any amount of money, and if he actually hears this, I bet you when that game goes live, and I'm talking about Pantheon, Asmongold will be on there checking it out. Okay. And that's a lot for him to do, because he likes the concept. I watched the video. I think I might have actually been there live on one of his streams. He likes the concept. He doesn't like the concept being in the hands of a company that's so small. He would like that concept be put in the hands of a Blizzard. I kind of get it. It makes sense. You got the money, you have the corporate structure, you have everything in play to keep it organized and keep it going, right? You have these smaller companies that even small companies that turn big. How about that? What's the game that raised over $100 million? The space game. I can't think of it.
Oh, geez. Star Citizen.
Star doesn't matter. It's still not out, and they have $100 million plus funded. $40 million, I think, came from France that is helping fund it now recently. And look with how big they got. They went from a simple concept to like
and just
way
kept growing
over
it,
their
growing
heads.
it, growing it.
Right, exactly.
They got lost in the weeds.
So I can agree a little bit with that, but the inner indie person in me who likes
I have to stop you, Dave. Casey in chat just put Vaporware, 300 million in funding, and it's Vaporware.
Damn, Jesus. 300 million.
300 million.
So I root for those indie games right now because I want to see Visionary Realms just prove everyone wrong that the year was worth the wait. Project Fairthel, I think, is going to be it. Number one, I think it's in the right hands with the right people who are very passionate, who are doing this job. They're not doing it as a 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday like the big corporate games. I think we got devs that are passionate. I'm sure they want to tell us more, but you know, this is the dark year. I know it's a tough year, but like I was telling in the green room, listen, I've seen games in their dark year when they go black, they go dark. You don't hear nothing. At least you're getting something in a newsletter. My advice is for anyone that is looking forward to that newsletter, just stop. Just stop.
Or not just stop. Not stop.
Don't enjoy it,
but understand what's coming. So,
yes,
and this is going to be, this is a very cheap plug right now, but I made a video called The History of Pantheon Communication. And the reason I made it is because people were overhyping what a newsletter is supposed to bring, and they were getting themselves let down by it. So that whole, if you haven't watched it, this is a cheap plug. Check out the video, History of Pantheon Communication, on our YouTube channel, the same channel we're watching right now. But it's a simple fact of like, we went through a phase where we introduced all the classes, and that was super huge. And then after that, you're not going to get that big anymore. So Dave, you want to keep that meter right where it's at, right with me in the middle? It's not super important. It is sort of important. Is that where you're at?
I think it's important to keep going with it for the community, but I think the community they shouldn't get their hopes up every time that comes out. If they're going to put out a really serious newsletter, like, I mean, we're talking big news, like maybe an alpha announcement or Project Fairthel announcement or a new class announcement, Marketing Strategy 101 will tell you that they will promote that newsletter coming out in 2 weeks or whatever it is on Twitter, on Massively. It'll be on MMORPG. They'll be getting interviews talking about it because that's how they're going to promote that big newsletter. Whether it's going to be the next one is going to release again pre-alpha, was it 5 testing time, to alpha release, to beta release, whatever. They're going to do it in a smart, strategic way that's going to get built hype around that newsletter. Because at the end of the day, they want to get eyes on it too, right? And right now, the eyes on the letter are just basically the community. Do I think their communication is not the greatest? Yeah, I think 99% of the community will agree that. I'm there.
That's
too.
a whole nother topic. I'm thinking of
That's
doing
a whole nother
I'm
topic.
doing a whole nother topic of, are you satisfied with the newsletters? I'm curious. That one would be fun.
That meter was going to get very full.
That meter's going to go all over the place. So
You're opening up a can of worms there.
yeah, well, that's what we do. We want to have people have opinions. We want to have it diverse. So Dave, again, thank you. Without you, this show doesn't exist. So
Dude, anytime. I'm so proud of you doing this, man. I'm excited that you brought me on. And you know what, guys, just hold tight with the game. It's coming. Whether it's not this year, next year, but it's coming. I have trust in Pantheon.
trust in Pantheon. All right, throwing you back down. Thank you, Server Dave. Have a great day.
No problem.
Ta-ta for
Anytime.
now.
Yeah, you brought up a good points there. Again, it seems like everybody's pretty level set. I'm curious to see who we get, who's going to say, doesn't matter at all. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot. Hiya, you're somebody. You still play EverQuest.
Recently, no, but I mean, if I would still play EverQuest if things fell in line.
Yeah. So here's in PlusYou, not next, but we're going to be pulling you in. I know you're muted and your mic is muted, so just be ready for that. EverQuest, like we did our community game night, and we did EverQuest. We did it for 4 weeks, right? We did it for a month. After the first night, I didn't care about the graphics anymore.
And you were using those god-awful Luklin models.
I just watched a video about how much people hate the Lucklin models, and it's funny that you bring that up. But it's funny, like the graphics will pull you in. I understand that. If you're trying to appeal to like the people who don't know about Pantheon, it's very important to have a graphical presentation you put out there that says, oh my God, I want to play that. But once you're playing the game, they matter very little.
Yep. If you're engaged otherwise, it just don't matter.
Yeah. So who we're going to pull in next, we're not going to pull Punk, just get ready. But we're going to pull, and I'm going to, if you want to make a funny video, record me trying to pronounce people's names and make like a blooper reel of that, because that's going to be outstanding. So I want to pull in Erikai. He is a part of the Pantheon MMO, the regular Discord. We're going to pull him in. I've talked to him a lot, so let's go ahead and pull in Erikai. So Erikai, first and foremost, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You are.
Look at that. Hiya, first.
Welcome, man.
Welcome in, man. So what are your feelings on graphics?
Personally, gosh, animations to me are way more important than, the overall graphics. I know that when I was watching you guys play EQ, I was constantly giving you crap in the chat about your Lucklin animations.
That's because I was the only one who used those, by the way.
Yeah,
everybody else was like, don't use them. Like, I have to.
But you were also the only guy whose gameplay we could see.
Exactly,
too, so
exactly.
everyone was forced to watch.
So yeah, to me the biggest travesty is just how the characters move. It's just so unnatural. Like
it's real bad.
It's got to be animated by somebody that has never seen a human being before. Like it's just so bad. It's so bad. I can't look at it without feeling angry.
Hiya used to yell at me so much about the animations and how bad. What was it? Hiya, the jump in EverQuest?
No, it was the crouch, the sit, all of it.
Well, the sit was kneeled.
Yeah,
was
that's
awful.
one of my big issues too. I mean, the button clearly says sit, and your character fucking kneels. I just can't get over it. I can't get over how bad the animations are. But I will admit that the higher poly count and the higher just overall, I don't know, the resolution. It looks okay, but the stances and the idols and the animations, they're just so bad.
Well, the funny part was, so when they created the new animations for EverQuest versus the old ones, is that they didn't even like take it into consideration the character's looks. Because Hiya made a character And Haya, on my screen, you were an African American female. And on your
This was EQ2. That's what it was.
oh, that was EQ too. Yeah.
So what I set my character up to look like is not what he saw at all.
So
I don't have words for that.
yeah. So you know what's funny? The common trend we're seeing is don't worry so much about the overall graphics. Don't try to be real, but the animations need to be smooth. And there's a lot of people that complain. Eric, I'm curious to where you stand. Did you play WoW?
I did, yeah, for
Okay.
Combined about 8 months.
Okay, so you that's enough. What did you think about the animations, like the character moves and everything?
I thought they were fine. They looked, you know, a little bit exaggerated, which I think is good in animation.
Yeah, that was
generally
fitting for WoW's thing.
Yeah, exaggerated shoulder pads, exaggerated animations, spinning. Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I'm talking the spinning. Like, for example, I played a rogue for a bit. You know, and they had a nice kind of spinning animation with a particular attack, and as long as you can kind of suspend your disbelief about
It works.
whether or not someone could realistically spin around and hit their target accurately, you know, as long as you could suspend that disbelief, it worked, and it looked fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree with you. I think that animations, let's be honest, if we all said, where does WoW rank on the graphics scale of any gaming? It's low. In MMOs,
low to mid at the highest. Like,
I would say in MMOs, it's more towards mid. But I think in
Well,
the overall gaming aspect, it's low.
yeah,
Are you
agreed.
comparing against realism? Like, is that what you're?
I mean, that's a great question. So, I mean, I'm putting everybody on the spot, Erica. I'm sorry about this. Hiya, I'm
No,
putting you on the
it's
spot.
okay.
I'm putting Erica on the spot. What's the best graphics games you've played?
Oh shit.
Like,
It's a bad question for me because I don't actively seek that out.
Yeah, and I don't either. My answer would probably have to be something like Skyrim.
okay, Skyrim's a good one.
The best graphics, like realism, is what you're looking for here?
No, just for you. What's the best graphics you played?
Oh, okay, it's subjective. Okay, let me think.
Like,
about
I played a lot, so I'm very biased, but I absolutely love Monster Hunter. I think it looks beautiful.
That's a contender. I've played a lot of DayZ, and I feel like that game's pretty up there.
DayZ, okay. See, I think
Yeah,
DayZ looks like crap, but I like it.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
I do.
the
I do.
animations are broken as shit, but if you were to take pictures of DayZ, it looks real.
That's true. That's true. Screenshot wise. Erica, what about you?
as far as like my favorites, I really enjoy Borderlands style. I know it's not realistic at all.
You're there to
but
my heart, though.
I
It looks
think-
beautiful.
Yeah, I think when they lean into what they're going for, it just works, and I find it so it's just charming.
Because the game feels like the game. Like, you know what's funny? Do you know how this is going to be a really weird comparison? I'm going to give everyone a heads up. When you grab a tissue, you call it Kleenex, right? Kleenex is a brand name,
Yep.
right? When you grab a Q-tip, you call it a Q-tip. That's a brand name, right? It's a cotton swab. So with Borderlands, and bring that up specifically, when you see cell shaded, it's the first game that comes to mind because they mastered that. I mean, you see
Cornered that. part,
yeah,
for sure.
you see like cosplayers who look like they're freaking cell shaded, right? Borderlands characters. So
Oh yeah, that's so good.
yeah, right. So when you master an art style, I think the art style means more than the actual graphics do. In Blizzard, say what you want about Warcraft, Blizzard has an art style. It looks beautiful. Once you get past your initial thoughts of what graphics should be and you get into the world, you get encompassed in the world. And Blizzard's always done a great job of that.
Totally agree. I want to just say one thing about how realism in graphics doesn't sell me. The very first time I saw a trailer for Anthem, I thought, man, this game looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
Like, it is stunningly beautiful. But when I watched them walk around and just volley their missiles at everything and kill it on one shot, I just went, this game is gonna suck. And I was not interested at all in it. And lo and behold, we all know what happened with that. But yeah, I'm not sold by graphics. I'm really not. And so if I had to put a ranking on your thermometer over there, I would put it at like between a 1 and a 2.
All right, so we're gonna drop it down a bit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm just not sold by graphics, and so what I see that Pantheon has right now, I'm sold already.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I feel like stay where you're at, stay in your lane, design the game. Don't worry about graphics anymore. I
would almost say find more things that make it.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean.
You know what's
Yeah,
going to be
so I
important
agree.
to that? What's going to be important to that is their predefined brand new races. So Scar, Archai. I know gnomes have been around, but they've recreated gnomes. Those races are going to be very important to understanding the graphic style, in my opinion.
Well, do you know what
I
else is
agree.
going to add to that? Is like dwarvish archetype. I can't words, but their buildings, their things, stuff in that style is going to make a big impact as well. Like that's part and parcel for me with the graphics is the world building as well.
100%. Erica, I'm going to drop you out. Thank you. Awesome contributions, and thank you for joining the show tonight.
Thanks for having.
Thanks, man.
All right, Punk, we're coming to you. I see that you have your headset on. You have your mic ready to go. We are bringing in Punctures. Let's get a little battle axe theme here. We got the battle axe on the screen, so let's go ahead and bring in Punctures. Mr. Punctures, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you have been so first of all, tell people how they can find you. That's important. You're one of the Pantheon Plus supported creators. So how can people find you?
You guys can find us YouTube/Battle Axe Theater. We're over on Facebook and Facebook and Twitter as well. And we also have our Discord link in our videos if you want to join in the chat.
Awesome. So where do you stand on graphics, Punk? I know you're playing Project Gargon right now, which means, in my opinion, you don't care about graphics at all. Is that horrible? Is that bad for me to say? I mean, where do you stand on that?
Well, again, so I mentioned that it's subjective, but when we say subjective, it's like I'm one of those people that's kind of like a middle ground realist. Like, let's take a look at the broad picture. And I'll be completely real here. It's like one of the ugliest games I've ever played. And as Def would say, in ways, it's worse than EverQuest 1.
It is definitely worse than ever.
Oh,
I
it's
think it
worse.
looks way worse. So real quick, before I go on, because Erica, I'm going to drop this meter down for the viewers a little bit. We're going to drop that down so people can see that. So if you disagree with that meter dropping down, light up that chat. We will do better at getting to the chat. So yeah, Punk, I agree with you. I think Gorgon looks a lot worse than EverQuest.
But see, like what has been discussed though is like it's the bones there, and I apologize for my audio. I haven't set up for.
You sound
fine.
actually beautiful. You
All
sound
right,
beautiful.
thanks. So it's about the bones, right? But at the same time, like if we're talking, I've got so much in my brain that I want to say about this whole subject. But you've got one hand, you've got Pantheon, and you've got this massive player base of old school EverQuest players, old school MMO players who I think ultimately they don't care about the graphics as much as the core of the game. But I also, like I said in chat, we're in 2019. We've got all this graphic architecture that's available to us. Why are we not utilizing it and at least delivering an experience that is immersive? And that's where I think graphics are like an 8 out of 10 important, is the immersiveness of it.
Would you say a what out of 10?
An 8 out of 10.
You think graphics are an 8 out of 10?
In a modern game that is releasing, absolutely.
Wow, okay, so Punk's bringing a different perspective. So you're enjoying... So explain that to me. So you think graphics are an 8 out of 10, which is way higher than the community right now, way higher than me. So this is sort of one of those, I'm going to set up the table, right, which says convince me otherwise. Convince me that...
Change my mind.
Change my mind. Okay, I think this is an awesome point. So you're playing Gorgon, you enjoy it, but do you feel like if the graphics were better, it would matter more?
Let me put it in this perspective. I'm not telling anybody to come play it with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality of it, because I think most people are going to look at that game, even people who have played emulators, and they're going to look at that and say, well, I'd rather just go play P99, or I'd rather go play Reborn. So I think the graphics, when we're talking specifically Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, there's so much riding on the shoulders of this game in terms of the MMORPG genre. Not only do we need to deliver like this core content, these bones that feel good, this game that feels excellent, these animations that make you feel immersed in the gameplay, but I think to be a contender and actually push the genre again, push it up to where it needs to be on a pedestal like it used to be, or at least some variation of that pedestal, there's going to have to be some sort of impressive graphics that come from it. Otherwise, it's just not going to appeal.
So it's an interesting part. So you're talking about appeal. So I want to dig into that a bit more. Is it that the graphics are the initial pull-in that are super important? So like to get people to play your game, you need graphics. But once people are playing, so if you would say 8 out of 10 to get people in, where would you say once people are in, how much it matters?
I'd say 8 out of 10 to get people in, and also specifically with regard to immersiveness, because and there's a lot of talk about ESO, and I will tell you, the first time Def and I played ESO, they had a very very light HUD, like a very light user interface, and you could see the world around you. The graphics were nothing to write home to mom about, but they were pretty decent graphics. And that was one of the things that kind of helped keep us in the game, is just that hugely immersive feel. So I would say that if you were going to present a game in modern, with modern standards, if somebody has high-end hardware, they should be able to at least run it and make it look, it doesn't even have to be realistic, but it needs to look clean. It needs to look good. I'd say once you're in the game, at least a 6, maybe 7 out of 10. Because if you're trying to deliver that immersive experience like Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is trying to tout, then, or they are touting, is that you should have decent graphics that kind of back that up and make the player with decent hardware feel immersed in your game, in your world.
Yeah,
see, I can agree with that. Like if I want to buy a Monster Beast PC just for Pantheon, I should be able to crank things up.
Yes.
On the flip side, if I can't afford a Monster Beast PC, I should still have a decent looking game.
And that's
Absolutely.
where Blizzard nailed it, right? Because there's no
Absolutely.
other
Yeah.
MMO. Like Black Desert's a beast. Blade and Soul, even like Blade and Soul's not the greatest looking game, but it was still a beast.
It was intense, yeah.
Yeah, it was intense.
Had some issues.
That's it. That's a great point. Is, it's not just the point of graphics being important, but can
Accessibility
people play
to the graphics.
And that's huge because in MMOs, you want as many people to play as possible. So graphics play a big role in the gateway to being able to play. So Punk, because of your argument, I moved up the viewers. I moved up a little bit. So it's a little bit above me. I'm going to stay right where I'm at. I'm still not convinced. Punk, I love you guys to death. Thank you for jumping into the show. I'm going to move you down to the green room. Thanks for your points,
guy.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, and please come back in the future. I'm going to give you a little, let me give you a little reaction video because we haven't done a lot of those. So I'm going to go ahead and toss in the good point reaction video.
Nice.
All right. So, yeah, good points by him there. We moved the meter up. We moved the viewers up. Bobo disagrees. WoW doesn't look much better on a beast is from Dan. Totally true. I mean, WoW has a tipping point, right? If you have,
Yeah. When I upgraded mid through our WoW days, I saw a noticeable difference.
you know what it is with WoW? It was in combat. It was
the combat effects, the spells going on in a raid. It was all that stuff. I couldn't run it as well on my older PC, and then when I upgraded, it was a whole new world.
Yeah, so it was funny because it was your solo play or your group play to like level wasn't really changed a ton. Your loading times were better. Animations looked a little bit better, but you noticed a huge difference when you got into the raid environment where you had a lot of people in it.
And the pull timer went off, and then on that 3, 2, 1 part where all the casters start doing their stuff and everyone rushes in, like my computer would, until I got a new one, and then it was like, wow, I can actually see this in like realistic frame rates. This is really, really fucking cool.
Okay, so the next person we're going to be pulling in is Lexar from VOT. So Lexar, get ready. It's a couple second delay, so I'm going to go ahead and throw up your splash. Did you say splash? Lexar, welcome to the chat.
Oh, thank God.
I know you haven't been feeling well, so it's probably been hell waiting for me to pull you in, huh?
Well, are we live?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're 100% live, and I want to make sure that everybody understands.
There's very heated conversations going on that perfectly valid, but I'm sitting here going, I've got a headache, and oh my God.
Lexar, I want to be very clear with anybody who watches Voices of Terminants. I know that you're under a very strict contract. You are limited to what you're able to say in a negative sense or swear at certain points of that video. I understand your contract is very limiting to your creativeness.
Am I allowed to swear here?
I want to let you know that your contract is null and void on the Pantheon PlusYou. So you are able to say whatever you'd like. Now, keep in mind, we'd really like to look okay to Pantheon. Like, we don't want to chase people away. That's all I'd say. So you got the mic, bro. What do you think about graphics?
I'm going to be a little bit of a hypocrite here because personally, I don't pay too much attention to graphics, but they are important because what you see is what draws in your people. You need to draw people in, especially in an MMO. Where that comes into an issue is when a developer will spend, we'll say 4, 5, 6 times their budget on graphics as they do on the design or what have you. It's almost like a teeter-totter. If you have too much on the visual end, everything else suffers. So while I'm saying it's important, everything else has to level out to be as important. Otherwise, if you get into a case of what I call all glitter, no guts.
I agree. I really do.
So
Yeah.
Lexar, I'm not looking for any NDA stuff, so please understand that my questioning I'm about to ask. So it's not my point of my question. I want to preface that. You have been playing this game a lot longer than most people have been able to play it. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Have graphics ever mattered to you from when you originally played to now?
Graphics, and I'll try to break this down a little bit because graphics can be a very broad phrase. In terms of textures and models, not really.
Lighting has been pretty badass. I'll give you a heads up on
Lighting has been very, very good. I find lighting and shadows are good for atmospheric immersion, which is what pulls you into the world, or that pulls most people into the world. For me, what gets me is because I play a tank, I play third person so that I can get a better view of my theater or battlefield, whatever you want to call it. What bugs me the most is animations. I despise bad animations. If you look at early Pantheon videos or streams, there are some humans that look like they're running with a stick up their ass.
I agree. I will back you in that for sure.
Or you'll see a guard walking by who looks like he just used gasoline and a lighter for deodorant. He's walking like, oh god,
almost T-pose. Yeah.
Yeah, that bugs the crap out of me because that instantly pulls me out of the world because I look and go, what the hell is that guy's problem? It's so textures. I can get away with some pretty low end textures and it doesn't bother me, but my eyes are bad, so 4K wouldn't mean shit to me. Animations that gotta be smooth, that gotta make sense. You know,
you got it. When you hit that big ability, you have to feel it. Does that make sense? And,
right.
and that could
be visually too.
Yeah, that could be something like super over the top. Sometimes that works, or just you've been waiting to use that high cooldown ability, and bam, there it is. And it's the one in Pantheon that I've seen, and they showed in one of the newsletters was the cleric wall. That looked badass. I mean, do you guys agree with that?
Well, let me tell you something here, or ask you something. I know you were pretty. I think you were one of the ones pretty excited about the warrior shield wall, right?
Yes.
Now, if it's just a matter of you kind of crouch down and there's a bubble around you, and you can just overlap bubbles, you're probably going to feel disappointed about that, aren't you?
Yeah, it feels like a pretty epic ability. With the requirements being so high, you should see something cool, right?
What a lot of people want, and it may not be able to happen, is people want to see an actual shield wall. They want to see two warriors locking shields together, bracing. That's what they want to see. But if you can give them something close, then it's going to be good enough and they're going to be happy. But again, that's animation.
Yeah.
That's not lighting.
Well,
That's not shadows,
let's be real here. When
textures.
we talk graphics, animation's a part of graphics. So I
It
know a
is.
lot of people have said, animation's another topic. No, it's. I'd rather the
It's a
game look
visual.
look mediocre with great animations. Like just like you said, running. When you're, let's be honest. In any MMO we've ever played, 90% of the time is spent running. So does it look good?
I gotta go and meet these people here. I gotta go and turn this quest item in there. I gotta go and
Right.
And that's where WoW did a
have to
great
go
job.
and I have to hand this person a note. You know?
And WoW did a great job in that. The flowing cape, the running it. WoW wasn't the most beautiful game in the world, but the animations of the character were fluid. They were great. It
Yes.
felt like when you
They
were running, it felt
pleasing
like you
to
were
the eye.
Yes.
whenever you
And-
saw a monk tank, he had his staff over his shoulder while he walked around. It was fantastic.
Hiya, monks.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. So, Lexar, would you move the meter at all? Are you happy with where the meter is currently? It's at the probably 3/4 meter. Would you say
In
it's
terms
lower?
of importance,
Yeah.
if we take everything as a whole, all visual aspects, I think it's a 3 out of 4.
Okay.
If we're just talking your typical like, oh, wow, what's the high res textures look like, then I would say 1.
So it's more about the lighting and the feel of your character.
It's about the more overall, I think, is what he's trying
Yeah.
to say. Everything is part
More
and part.
overall, because
Seeing that boss mob do a sick animation when they cast a crazy ability makes you scared, right? The animation is something that's important in making you feel scared of that boss.
Mm-hmm.
Lexar, thank you for waiting so long, and thank you for joining our chat. I'm going to move you back down.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to bed.
Good night, dude.
Good night, then.
Awesome. So Lexar joining in. Yeah, he's in the 3/4 campaign, so we've moved that up quite a bit in the last few callers. The chat, I'm gonna read a couple things going on there. There's a lot going on in chat. Let me move that down to my main screen. So in chat, we are looking at there's a lot. So recently we've had I had great fluid animations from Chris Ellis. EQ Next and yeah. Are we allowed
the
to
next
talk?
animations were superb.
Are
But
we
don't
allowed to talk about?
that.
We don't talk
No.
about EQ Next. EQ Next looks like a Pixar Disney, or more like a Disney
hurts.
movie. Mm-hmm. EQ Next hurt. If Yarn was here right now, if you guys mentioned EQ Next, he would literally cry. So
He just leave. He just like, no.
Yarn told me that his most anticipated game of all time and his favorite experience was EQ Next, and he literally didn't even get to play it. So I feel bad for that guy.
I was so hype. Like,
I was so hyped too. Ponytail guy, right? Georgeson.
right?
What did you do to us, Ponytail guy? All right, so I want to bring someone in. There's in chat. I've actually talked to this guy quite a bit. We've actually we actually helped each other setting up our streaming, which is awesome. And in the chat, he's going by Casey, but in Discord, his name is Savek. So Savek, go ahead and make sure you put your mic on and your headset. I'm gonna go ahead and pull Savek up here. He is actually on the side where he really thinks graphics are important. So here he comes. Savek, did I pronounce that right?
Sabich, whatever.
I'm close. So, yeah, I'm technically 2 out of 2 on difficult names.
We'll give you a 1.5 out of 2. All right? Can we live with that?
All right, so man, it's your floor right now. So right now, the community is saying about 3 out of 4. Where are you at with graphics? Where do you feel?
I think it's at least a 4 out of 5. I think for incoming players, it means a little bit more than a lot of the people that are probably in the green room right now. I think graphics are it's almost the equivalent to like window shopping for a game. You know, it's what gets people into the game, but gameplay is the most important thing because it's what keeps people there.
That's a good point,
So-
because if enough people don't come play this game, then we don't have a game to play, right?
Absolutely. And somebody already mentioned, I think it was Surfer Dave, who mentioned the Asmongold thing, right? He was sitting there and he was bashing on the graphics, and if the graphics don't hit a certain minimum that everyone is expecting, then the game is going to be dead on arrival.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, so let me ask you. So your graphics are pretty important to you. You're obviously a Pantheon backer. with the change from when Asmongold sort of trashed the game to where they're at now, in the last co-stream, we saw a pretty huge improvement in lighting, and some of the character models have been improved, right? Like ogres have had a huge, massive character model improvement. Where it's at right now, are you satisfied, or do you want to see them go more?
I definitely, they should reach as much as they can go as high as they should, like as high as they can without sacrificing other, like the gameplay or any kind of other systems that they have to do. Animations are the biggest thing. Like if the game looks good but feels clunky, it's still bad. You know, the graphics still suck then.
Okay. So when what, if you don't mind me asking, what level of a contributor are you at Pantheon right now? Have you invested in Pantheon?
Yeah, I'm 250 right now.
Okay, so you're with me. I'm right there with you. We're both champions. Get on ya.
Oh, I'm in the same bracket. Let's go.
Yeah. So I subbed back in November when the graphics were lesser than they are now. Let's put it that way. And I was perfectly fine with that because I feel, my opinion is that the gameplay is way more important than the graphics. But so you said you're sort of happy with where they're at now. We haven't seen the Scar. We haven't seen the newest Archive models. And we haven't seen some of the weather effects and such. But if they nail those, are you pretty good with the atmosphere of the game right now?
Yes, as long as they get the animations, work on the animations a little bit, I'd be happy with where they are.
And I'll be negative. I'm not someone who's often negative. I get in trouble for that. The animations, like the ones they showed off with like the warrior, still felt a little clunky. Is that fair? Haya, where do you stand on that?
I think those animations could be, they were probably shown more clunky than they are because they were out of context. It was a player model in a test space. It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't in the world. There was nothing to be attacking. I think if we had it, more in game, it could have looked.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in context is certainly important. So, Savak, anything else to add on to graphics? I moved it up a little bit because you're bringing some points in from the community that it's a little more important. I moved you up a little bit above that 3 out of 4. Anything else you want to throw out there before we jump to the next caller or person?
No. It's like you said, just the daily animations are going to be like the biggest thing, like you said, the running and stuff like that. If they can get that right and, like the casting and just like the constant hitting, the graphics can just stay where they're at and no one will complain at all. I don't like the actual visual looks can stay where they are.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for joining in tonight. Hopefully you see us in the future. We're going to get to even some more controversial topics. We're going to talk about PvP eventually. So Savak, thanks, man. Appreciate the feedback. We'll maybe back to the green room.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's funny. The Pantheon community is semi-aligned. He was a little higher.
Yeah. I can see the whole, you need a shiny polish to get people hooked, but like I'm proof of the opposite, if you will, with my experience as to joining the WoW thing. Like I hated how it looked, and then I played it because I had people to play it with, and it was probably one of the better gaming experiences I've ever had.
Very true, very true. So I just want to give the green room a bit of heads up. Here's the order I'm looking at right now. We're going to go with Kino Monster next, so be ready. Dryson, we're going to get to you, or I'm sorry, Dezirian. Dragon Priest, we're looking at you still, and Thorn Deep, we're definitely looking at you, and we may look at more. So we're going to keep going a little bit. Our show goal is an hour minimum, but we're going to go probably have another half hour so we can get some more people on. You good for that, Haya? You ready? You have enough beer?
Yeah, Mrs. Haya went and brought me a beer, so kudos. Shout out to
Mrs. Haya, without a doubt. So, okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to grab, as I said, we're going to grab Kino Monster next. Kino, I know, is someone who's pretty, he's very vocal about his opinion, so I want to bring him in and let him have the floor. So, Kino Monster, we're bringing you in now. Kino, what is up, man? How are you?
I've been drinking. How are you?
Oh, if you've been drinking, you're at the right show, sir. You are at the right show.
Whew.
So, Kino, where are you at on this graphics debate? Like, is it important to you, or where's it at?
I think we talked earlier in chat about how there's like a spectrum and a threshold maybe where once it's good enough to get most people, then it's And then there's the debate of whether or not, like, define graphics. Is it textures? Is it lighting?
It's all of it, all the visual.
Yeah, it's yeah, and it's important. Actually, you bring up a good point because, like, yeah, you'll laugh at me, but back in the day when I had a PC that couldn't handle everything, the first thing I disabled is shadows. But then there's people who like really love shadows, right? But if I knew if I disabled shadows that my game would run better, so they were never super important to me until
They were gone. Yep.
right?
I am not a shadows guy at all. I mean, I played EQ, like, remember the very, very old user interface where it was like literally like a
First person with
tiny box.
Yes.
the gray.
Yes.
Yep.
There's also the aesthetic, right? When WoW came out, it had excellent graphics, and I hated the aesthetic. So there's almost that measure of how do you define what's really valuable. Diablo 3 has great graphics. I hate its pastel background.
Color palette, yeah.
So I'm going to
I
interrupt
get
you.
that.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because you brought up a huge point that is something I've talked about a lot, never on live air, but something I've talked about with Haya and some of the other guys. I love Diablo, right? And the competitor to Diablo right now is Path of Exile.
Oh, yeah.
And I absolutely hate Path of Exile. And let me tell you why. It's not, the system's fine, the gameplay is fine, but there's a huge gap in Diablo in Path of Exile in the feeling of collision, which is very graphical based, right? When I'm in Diablo and I hit something, I feel like I'm hitting it and it like blows it away and it flies into the screen. And there's just this feeling of my character being alive in the world. When I play Path of Exile, I feel detached from the actual physics of the game.
Actually, that occurred to me. I'm not sure it's a graphical issue, but when we were talking about what was the subject of this conversation, that exact thing came up in my mind. Diablo 3 is so well polished, so well produced, is so smooth, and I still don't like the graphics.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I want a high fantasy graphics setting. I would prefer like Age of Conan style to WoW style.
Can I get into a side story about Age of Conan?
Please do.
So you played Age of Conan, right? Hiya, did you play Age of Conan?
I did not.
Did you play Age of Conan on day one, Kino?
I sure did. I built a computer with my SLI 8800 GTSs.
So I did as well. But please tell me you experienced this. We're going a little off topic. But when you created a character in Age of Conan, were you greeted by the hundreds of naked females that were right in the started area?
I think they had loincloths.
They were completely naked. You could take them off, and it was the only game where you could see.
Oh, yeah.
You could see it all. It was there on display. And I thought that was so funny because the graphics were pretty good at the time in that game. And you could be fully nude. It was an M-rated MMO. And of course, what is the first thing every dude and maybe some females did?
Every 17-year-old boy does is make a
I'm going to make a female. I'm going to strip them down. I'm going to stand right in the starting area. And they were literally...
I'm going to go and find that breast slider and we'll talk.
If you spawn in kind of like on Path of Exile, like on a newbie island in their tutorial zone, and yeah, there were tons of naked people running around.
Yeah, that's funny. That's super funny. So right now the viewer scale is at a little over 3/4. Where do you stand on the graphics?
What does viewer scale mean?
Well, so it's not important to very important. So right now it's a little more very important than not important. It's not in the middle. It's a little more that graphics are very important. Where do you stand on that?
Less than very important.
So we're going to move it down. We're going to move it down, Haya. We're going to bring it down a little bit.
We're going to do the thing.
We're going to do the thing. We're going to bring it down. We're going to put a little bit above where me and you stand.
So I play, like, I still to this day play games like Tome and Zangband and Moria. If anybody out there knows those old school, like, ASCII-based roguelikes, literally ASCII characters. So graphics to me, they help get me immersed and from a role-playing perspective. But again, there's a threshold where once I'm in, and I don't care about fronts after that.
I think that's a very strong recurring point that most, if not all, of our guests on the show today had, is that once you're already in, the gameplay is way more important.
Yeah.
But you need to be
Yeah.
the
graphics are more of a promotional tool than important to the actual game.
Frankly, Pantheon looks beautiful. I'm not going to mention that one WoW streamer who shit on Pantheon. I say shit.
You don't want to say his name. You don't even want to say his name. Yeah, I love it.
And he hated the graphics. And I'm like, this game looks beautiful. And you guys maybe don't know me. I'm a big time cynic, pessimist,
I know
critical Pantheon person. Yeah. And I think the graphics look beautiful.
All right, awesome. All right, so Kino, thanks for joining us, man. Good points. You brought the meter down a little bit down. Graphics aren't as important. Move you back to the green room. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight.
Peace.
So I mean, wow, like people sort of we're sort of where we're at. I haven't been moved. Have you been moved at all?
Oh, only on the window shopping aspect. I
good.
believe Lexar brought that one up. But overall, no, I haven't been moved.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're going to bring, let's go with Dezirian. Dezirian, you are muted and you are mic muted, so go ahead and end that. We're going to bring you into the live chat. So you are in. Dezirian, welcome in. What do you want to go by? Do you want to go by Dezirian or do you want to go by your YouTube name?
You actually got it. Dezirian is perfect.
I'm giving myself 3 out of 3. I know you didn't want to give me 100%, but I'm going with it.
All right, it's cool. I'm good.
Dezirian, where do you stand on the graphics right now?
You know, I want to bump up that meter just a little bit.
Okay.
But under like one caveat. We're talking about visuals in general. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
in general. So that's going to include a lot. Lighting, character models, animations. Yeah, that's all included.
Bell graphics, all of that shit.
Yep.
Right. I would absolutely put it at least a 3 because it matters so much for immersion. Graphics have to equal immersion. Like you need the moments where you go up to the top of a hill somewhere and you look out over something. You're just like, wow, that is beautiful.
So
and
you like the environment a little bit more than the character models, or is it both?
I happen to think that environment is a bit more important than characters, but I also know a lot of people in the same vein that are kind of opposite. But I just know you need those moments that just make you go, wow, whether or not it's like hyper realistic or whatever. Like, I mean, my first like wow moment in a MMO was like EverQuest Online Adventures. I just went up to the top of a hill and I saw like a sunset and I was just blown away, even though, you know, graphically speaking, it's not.
Let me interject here that I've had those wow moments in Minecraft, and that's not a pretty game.
That's a great point.
The theme of the game, the art of the game, and the way that game looks can still give you those wow moments.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'll jump in and say, you know, my favorite game of all time, anybody who's watched enough, maybe I haven't said it a lot, but if you've watched some of our videos, you've heard it. My favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy Tactics. And it's a sprite game. It's a sprite game. And there's only a certain level of graphics that are going to exist in a sprite game. But they did it really well. And I love the game. And graphically, I wouldn't change it at all. I wouldn't want to see a remake. You know, right now they're remaking Final Fantasy VII. And I know a ton of people are super excited about that. I am miserable about it. I do not like it. I will not play it. They're killing my childhood, so to speak, with these amazing graphics. I will take the graphics, but when you take the gameplay and you turn it to an action game from one of the greatest turn-based MMORPGs ever made, and you turn it into an action game, you just killed me. Like, you made it pretty. I get it. It looks... But you know what's funny? Here's what's funny about games. In my head, Final Fantasy VII looks just like the remake. Because when you think back to games...
you embellish your own thoughts. Yes, I agree.
Exactly. Like, your brain makes graphics look better when you look back to a game. 100%. So when I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm like, yeah, that's what the game looked like. And then you go back and play, you're like, oh my God, I was a triangle. You know, essentially.
This is barely a straight line on my character. What is going on?
So, right, it's that part when you jump into an MMORPG that once you get... So it is important, and Haya, you brought up a great point, is to pull people in, you got to be something. You have to be something to pull people in. But once you're in, if the gameplay is great and the memories are great, your brain makes the game look better.
That is a great point.
I mean, EverQuest to me, when I played EverQuest in our 4-week streaming, in my head it looked way better than it did when we played it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think for the new people, it at least needs to look current. But past that, I think the general gist is that graphics just can't cover up gameplay mistakes.
Yeah.
And as long as you reach that threshold, you're good.
And I think, I'm really sorry if I'm misquoting this, it might have been a different color, but I think Lexar said the same thing. Like, if you go crazy on the graphics, it might even have been before Lexar. Crap, I can't remember who said it. But someone said if you go too crazy on the graphics and that's where you spend all your money, then when the gameplay lacks, you realize why, and the graphics then at that point don't matter at all.
Then they're useless. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lexar,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, if you have all of your resources into art teams, like someone mentioned, Star Citizen earlier, they have literally hundreds and hundreds of art devs, but their systems and gameplay are struggling right now.
Yeah.
But I think for Pantheon's case, though, the one thing I did want to mention that I didn't see anyone else say yet is that their concept art style, I'm starting to see that kind of struggle to make its way into the 3D world. Do you guys see that?
That's a great point.
I think the Scar legs are victim to that.
Well, wait, hold on, because we've never seen Scar in game yet.
Right.
So let's
but
be
they
very
started
clear. So while
putting out different art of them without that inverted.
So yeah, but here's the thing. I think correct me if I'm wrong here, Dezirian, but if I'm wrong, you're saying that the concept art to the in-game art isn't translating. So I'm going to give you an example. You tell me if I'm wrong. So for me, the halfling art in concept looks incredible, right? Lost Boys, colorful, vivid. And then you saw it in game and it looked very much so like the elves.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass because we haven't seen the creation type, right? We're going to have to see that. I think the big tell there is going to be what do the Scar and Archai, the new models that they've created, because we haven't seen the new Archai and we've never seen Scar. And I don't think we've even seen Darkmere. Have we seen Darkmere? No. So I want to see what those look like, because those are 3 very important races in their development and their creativeness that they've redone or completely imagined. I'm very curious to see what they look. I think, and this is a different subject, but I think that the new Scar look way better than the old Scar. Personal opinion. I know if Lexar is still around, he's having a fit right now. But I thought that the old Scar looked very blob-like. It didn't have it felt like a blob. It didn't feel good. We did the Scar video. I love the female Scar. Oh my god.
Yeah, they look so much better than the male for Scar.
The female Scar is one of the coolest female races. I will say this today. Pantheon is not the best graphics in an MMORPG, but the female Scar concept art. Let's see what they do in game. The female Scar.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal. If I was a female, I would love playing it. If I'm a male, I would love playing it. It just looks badass. Like a female Scar warrior is kick ass. And I think graphically, if they can take that concept art, and that's a great part. And nobody has brought that up, is the concept art to the visuals is very important. I think we're going to get a good taste of that in Fairtale, because Fairtale's been so much concept art. What's it going to look like in game?
Yeah, I really hope so too. And I think your reaction to that is exactly what we're talking about when I say visuals. It's that it inspires something in you that connects you to the world. It immediately immerses you to be I want to be a part of that. I want to play that. It's not necessarily the detail of it, though that has to be pretty good to make it work. But it doesn't have to be hyper realistic. It just has to make you be that's cool. I really want to be a part of that.
Yeah. Dude, awesome contribution. Thank you so much. You're going to get a reaction video. We're going to give you a good point.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff there.
Yeah. Very good.
Good stuff. I think tying in the concept art part, no one's done that yet. And I think that's really important because the concept art to visual actual in-game is very important because concept art is what is in their heart. And it's
Well, let's also remember that it's concept art and it's not always going to be 100% what's then made into the game because it's a concept. It's a proof of concept.
Did you see the newest newsletter? Have you seen any of it?
I skimmed. Yeah.
Did you see the graphic of the ogre?
The named ogre that they gave
With the
backstory
mask
to, lore
on
to?
and
Yeah,
shit?
yeah.
So I rated ogres probably the least. They're the bottom. I think they're a 2 out of 10. They're my worst
I think it's a 3
rated
out of
race.
10. Yeah. But did that make you change your mind a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
They looked bad. You know what it reminded me of? Mad Max.
A little bit.
Oh, it was so cool.
With like makeshift armor. Not makeshift armor, but yeah, I know what you mean.
And if they can pull that off in game, it looks badass. That looks so cool. Like that looks
I'm pulling it up now just to have another.
Okay, so we're gonna get to we're gonna do a couple more people here before we close out this show. We have Thorn Deep. You're gonna be coming up next. So if you are muted and microphone headset canceled, be ready. We're gonna pull you up. And then after that, Idiot EQ. You're gonna be our last one on the show tonight. So Thorn Deep, I'm gonna pull up right now. Let's go ahead and get him up. What is going on, Thorn Deep? How are you? Welcome.
Hello.
So we're talking a lot of graphics.
Thanks
Being one of the
on.
last people on, it's tougher, right? A lot of people may have said your points. So what are your views on graphics?
For me, graphics are not as important. I want to. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. So
Go ahead and turn off mute the YouTube channel, and you'll be fine. And you'll be good. That's if you ever watch. Yeah, you're not a huge sports guy, but I listen to sports radio all the time. And the number one thing for any caller who calls in, it's like turn down your radio. Yeah. All right, Thorn. So what do you think?
So, going to your point about how your mind changes things, I look at it when you read a book and a book you really like, and then they make a movie out of it. Usually, for me, it's a disappointment.
Absolutely.
It's because your imagination has created that world. To me, it's the same for an MMO. If they've got an animation, or not an animation, but a graphic style, I would prefer them to keep it simple so that our minds can fill in the blanks, and that when your mind takes over, you become more immersed in the world.
That's a great point.
My take on it.
That's an absolutely great point. You know, I read, I don't know if anybody else in the chat or anybody in this voice has read, but I read the Chronicles of Warcraft, the first 2. So it was, what was it? It was like the Burning Crusade, like the Legion style, and then into Wrath of the Lich King. I didn't finish that, but yeah, when you're reading it, like Blizzard did a pretty good job of showing that off, but I totally agree. I think there's been a lot of different things. Like I was a big comic books person when I was a kid. I read Spider-Man, I read Punisher. I mean, I read a ton of stuff. And specifically my favorite was X-Men. And when you watch the X-Men movies, there's certain people that are cast. I remember when what's his name? Who was cast? Hugh Jackman. Wolverine, right? When he was cast as Wolverine, I watched it. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like you'd see him outside of being Wolverine. And I remember watching the first X-Men, the scene where he was in the cage and he was like smoking a cigar and he whooped that dude's ass. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's fucking good, right? So it is interesting you say that. Like when your mind paints a picture, your mind's more powerful than what you see sometimes.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, Thorn Deep, I totally agree. So where would you, I mean, the meter right now, we were sort of right in the middle. The graphics are sort of important, but the gameplay is a lot more important. Right now, the meter for the viewers is a little higher than us, where graphics is a little more important. You sound like you're saying the graphics are a little less important. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is definitely correct.
So you're a big, Thorn, I know you're a big fan of EQ, right?
Yes, I'm playing on P99 right now.
So, and I mean, graphics don't stop you from playing that, right?
No, yeah, I again, it's the fear of being killed just draws me right in, and you know, then my mind fills in the rest.
Yeah, you know, we played Final Fantasy 11. I played some Secret World on stream. We played EQ, and nothing was better than that EQ stream. I mean, yeah, you'd agree with that, right?
Oh yeah.
The worst graphical game that we've ever streamed was probably the most fun. What does that say? So
Yeah, it's the gameplay, and it's that, again, the community.
yeah,
And nostalgia goes a long way for EverQuest for a lot of people. But
That's definitely true, and that's why we're excited about Pantheon.
good point. Thorn, thank you for joining, my man.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Yep. Hopefully we see you on a future one, man. Take care. All right. So yeah, we're gonna bring our last person in.
alrighty.
Our last person. Actually, you know, we have two more. We're gonna bring in Idiot IQ. So Idiot IQ, you are muted and your headphones are. I'm gonna say two more. We have someone who's been waiting off right now, so go ahead and make sure you put those on because we're about to pull you up to the main room. So Idiot IQ just joined us recently today. We're gonna bring him up and talk about graphics. So Idiot IQ. EQ. Why do I say IQ? That's the worst nickname ever. Idiot IQ.
You guys listen to any Radiohead?
Yes. I listen. So
it's like Idiotech.
okay, so I'm going to give a little story about Radiohead, this little side story here. We're also going to get to Tracking On after this. Tracking On, you're going to wrap up the show. So Radiohead. I was a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. Hiya, you know that about me. Huge into Smashing Pumpkins.
Yep.
Do you know how many people told me that if I was a Smashing Pumpkins fan, I should listen to Radiohead? And that never made sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either, and I'm not really a fan of either. So
Yeah, it doesn't mean.
But I do like Radiohead. So idiot. I hate to say. I feel bad calling you idiot.
It's fine. I'm used to it. It's been my nickname for like 15 years.
Idiot IQ. Where are you at on the graphics right now? We're slightly ahead of us. We're right in the middle. Like, where are you at right now? The viewers are a little ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll go along with the viewers. I think I'm more at the. I think I'm more at the 4 out of 5, and I feel like I should explain, because we've kind of narrowed, or not narrowed it. We've almost broadened the scope to be animations and running and no stick up the ass kind of look. Like, I feel like because of that, I've been sitting here watching this entire stream and trying to just think of like an anecdote that'll bring up like my point. And do you guys remember that game Ion Online?
Oh yeah. That
Like
was the big
Aeon,
PvP one,
Aeon,
right?
Aeon.
With the
Yeah,
wings,
yeah.
they had the big wings.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think, and I'll even bring up Elder Scrolls Online. I think what I am looking forward to in Pantheon is when I see something in the world, I can run around the world and go, oh, that looks sick. This looks awesome. But I can't go there. It's just a painting.
It's a skybox or
It's a skybox, yeah. And Aeon and Ion, whichever you want to say it, was one of those first games where I was like, whoa, you could fly in this game. But there was so much scenery that you couldn't get to. And I was like, at least in Burning Crusade, when I played WoW, I can get on top of the mushrooms.
You could get anywhere. If you saw something in WoW, you could get to it. Like,
you could
that
get
was
there.
a way.
Yeah.
Whether or not they wanted you to, you could get there.
Totally.
So I think that the graphics for me and why I'm excited about Pantheon is when they first showed like the, what was it? The Tower of the Magician. I can't remember the full name.
Yeah.
But when they showed that you could see that from way, way out and you could go, oh, I want to get there and go there. That mattered to me. And I think if
that's
the
impactful.
world looks good. Yeah. I think if the world looks good and if it comes together where the graphics and the style and everything come together, I think it's very important. I think you're going to want to look somewhere, see something, and be able to get there and actually.
So let me challenge you then, because they're related. And you just brought up, you said back to back, you said graphics and style.
Mm-hmm.
They're super related. So I totally understand your point. So I'm just kind of playing go further here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's more important between the two, graphics or style?
I would say style. I would say, because I was actually talking with Micah Does Stuff, who I watch his videos and I enjoy them because he's coming from where I came from. I didn't play EverQuest. I heard about it a lot, but I played Final Fantasy 11. And I think that Final Fantasy 11 looked a little bit better than EverQuest, but it also had its own style. And if you look at some of the gear, sets, everything fit. Everything felt like it was part of the same world. And I think WoW does the same thing. WoW does its own job as well. But I would say that the style of things, and just like you said with Borderlands, I love Borderlands. I think style is more important than just, like, I never played Black Desert,
Yeah,
that's the best.
It looks fantastic, but I never played.
It looks awesome, but it doesn't pull me in. I think at the end of the day, and here's I'll play devil's advocate to our own thoughts. Everyone is here to play Pantheon because it is a game that not one of us can name a newer game that plays like it. Yeah. There's not one.
Yes,
there's
even the people
zero.
who are trying to say WoW Classic is like this, it's not.
It's
WoW
not.
Classic was not like EverQuest.
And I'll even say that that's already been a game. So I'm saying from 2006 on, there hasn't been a game that had any of these similar tenets. So we're all going to play it for those tenets.
Yep.
But what will keep us in is being like immersed in this world. And I think the graphics need to extend for the next 10 years. We can't be 2026 and look like trash.
I agree. Awesome, man. Great points. I appreciate it. We moved you up the meter just a tiny bit for you there. So thank you for joining. Hopefully you'll see us on the next show. We'll definitely welcome you back, man. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we got two more. I'm going to bring on Trackanon, and then we're going to wrap it up with Dragon Priest. And that is it. Hiya. I keep saying...
just one more. Just two more.
We got people waiting. We got to bring on. So Track, we are bringing you on. You are muted, so go ahead and make sure you unmute your mic because we are bringing you in right now. Trackanon, you are on. You are muted still. Hopefully you can unmute your mic. I don't know if you're still there. I'm going to give you a 5, 4, 3. There he is. What's up, Track? Are you there?
Uh-oh.
Track, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. I'm going to give him 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Track, we have to move you down. My apologies. So see, it's good that we did that we added Dragon. Dragon, you are coming on, so you better be ready. You are muted, and you are also headset muted. So go ahead and get those off in Discord, and we're going to bring you up. Dragon Priest, we'll see if you are the last. Hopefully you are ready. Not seeing the mute and headset go off.
Now we're whispering.
We're good. Here comes Dragon Priest.
All right.
Dragon Priest, welcome in.
Guys.
How are you?
Hey, doing pretty good, man.
All right, so you're no pressure, but you're literally the last viewer to join in. So what are you thinking? Where are you at on graphics?
When it comes to graphics, I really want it to be better than WoW, but little close. I would love to see an MMO with graphics closer to like, say, the newer Tomb Raider games. Although I know that's not going to happen, but that would be sweet. But when it comes to the graphics overall, I would like to see nicer graphics than most of the biggest popular games right now. But I would like to see them pay more attention to the details. Like for instance, with Warcraft, you got your each individual piece of armor that shows up, and then like with the Final Fantasy 14. You've got your jewelry that shows up, but no belt, so I would like to see, some detail put into the armors, and, the animation, like was mentioned earlier, is also really important, for me. And, I would like to see, them put their weapons away. Like I was looking at some of the screenshots for all of Pantheon, that's up there right now. And everyone's holding their weapons, even when not in combat. That is a big thing for me. I want them to put their weapons away when they're not using them.
That's a good point. I was a huge mogger. Oh, yeah, right. Is that an understatement?
Yeah. No.
I was a huge mogger in WoW, and I literally spent half my time going and getting mogs and putting mogs into our Discord chat, and literally had to delete mog sets from the transmogrifier. So no, I get that. It's interesting that you say like the jewelry side. Like a lot of games haven't implemented that into the game. So you want to put a piece of gear on, you want to see it. That's important to you.
Exactly. I'm a transmog, fool. If I have the gear, I will go in there and I will equip it and tweak it just right. And my daughter, for example, she loves to go in and do what they call slut mogging.
Yep.
And get her.
Oh, yeah, you had a few of those.
As trashy as can.
That's how you beat the bosses in hard raids.
Haya was well known for his slut mogs.
Oh, I agree, man. I love to do it too, but I definitely want the characters to look like they're supposed to. A human character, I want them to look human. None of this crap with shoulders 3 times the size they need to be, with arms bigger than most people's legs, like in WoW. That's turned me off of the male characters in the game altogether. I've been playing female characters because of that, just because I can't stand to look at them. But so I would like proportionate characters.
That's a good point. Yeah, what's funny? Can you have style and be proportionate? So can you have style and be realistic? I think you can.
I do too.
I think there's a happy medium to be found for sure.
I definitely like the fantasy touch, they add to the characters, because after all, they are games. But at the same time, I just, like when my character emotes, I want them to smile or yawn, and even the ability to change your character's neutral stance, like in Final Fantasy XIV, that was huge because, granted, they only gave you like 2 or 3 stances, but it was nice because not everybody of the same race was standing the exact same way.
You felt different. You felt alive. Yep.
Exactly.
That's a really solid point, man. Good for you.
Well, Dragon, you were our last. You did not disappoint. Do you want to move this meter at all? Right now, we're at 3/4. Where do you want that to go? Up or down?
I think it should stay right where it's at, personally.
Okay. We're good with that. Dragon, thank you for your patience, my man. We got a lot of people in tonight. That's awesome. So thank you, and we're going to move you back to the green room.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
So, hiya. Awesome night. We went a little longer. We went 36 minutes longer. We had tons of people. We got everybody in. Everybody who jumped in that green room got a chance to speak.
Sweet.
So right now, the community's a little bit ahead of us. They're about 3/4. We're about 2.5. So we're very close.
If I may make a summary, different people like different things. Who knew?
Very true. Very true. But I think the community as a whole, while graphics are important, I think that the one message that's been shared to the community is that we want gameplay. Bring us in, get the community in, because we need people to... If a lot of people don't play this game, then we can't play it, because it won't exist. So we need a lot of people to keep longevity, but at the end of the day, once people are in, we need the gameplay.
I think, actually being a little bit more serious than I was a minute ago, the one thing that I heard repeated ad nauseum tonight is that people are really, really strongly attached to animation.
Yeah, animations really are more important.
Really much so.
All right, so we're going to keep the meters at that. You guys see the meters up there. That's where we land. We're still right in the middle. We kind of stayed where we are because you guys really played around that. But the community as a whole, I'd say that with the people we got on a little bit higher. Chat, we didn't do a great job of keeping up with you because we had so many callers come in tonight, but we will do a better job in the future. So we're going to do more and more of these. Every week, every Thursday, I'll have a different co-host. I'm sure you'll see Haya again. But we will bring people into chat. We're going to have different topics, so keep an eye out. We'll see you next week. Guys, this was awesome. We had a great group of people here.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Super fun. It's probably the most fun that we've ever had. So thank you, everybody. We're going to end it there, and let's see where we go with graphics here in Pantheon, but it seems like gameplay is what we care all about. So thank you, guys. Amazing stream. We'll see you next week.